Okay, today we're going to talk about something that's been on my mind that I think is very important for any developers at any stage of where they're at. I really believe that if you want to reach your goals, you have to really want them. And what I mean by that is that you need to, whatever you want to do, you can accomplish. And that's why I'm here because I know that every single developer that wants to uh, reach their dream goals can reach them, but they have to work for it. And so I want to help remove some of the unknowns so that we can clear things up. That's the whole point of this channel, is to help developers level up and finish their games and then move on so they can reach their dream goals. So we're going to talk about that today because I've had someone in my community. So I have a Endgame Devs, a school community that helps developers improve their skills. And one of those skills is finishing games. And so I want to talk about you and your dream goal. Okay. So I have a whiteboard here. Scoot over. And what I want to talk about is here, it's you and your goal. And when you are thinking about your goal, this might be you want to work for a company, your dream company, dream, uh, dream company might be indie. You want to do an indie, you want to be an indie dev for life, or you want to make a company. And it might be an indie company or it might be a big one. But whatever your goal is, and sometimes people work for a dream company and then they realize that it's not their dream, and then they build their own company. That's how I think it's Second Dinner. The guys that made Marvel Snap, they worked on Hearthstone. They decided, hey, we can do this on our own, and we can make all the decisions. So they left, designer and developer, and then they made their own card game. Um, and so it's not as people do this. So you, where are you? So I'm thinking of you as a developer that has no skills. You're starting out. So that way, anyone that watches this video can benefit from it. Because you might be ahead, it doesn't matter. The main thing is when you start out, you think, okay, like, what do I need to do to reach my goals? And you start, well, I need to learn skills. I have this great idea. Usually starts because you have a great idea. You want to make games, you love games, and you realize, oh, like, I want to make my own games. In the same scenario that um, some people work for a game company and they have the skills, they're like, oh, we can make the game on our own. Um, Sometimes players want to make their own games. And so because of that, you need skills. But the problem is, the first problem that I see a lot out there is that you want to be, I'm going to call it spoon fed, because that's exactly what you want. You want, if it were up to you, people, it was up to you, they would tell you exactly how to get there. You learn nothing. You just follow examples. Because a lot of people want tutorials that basically, oh, I want to make an MMORPG. Okay, I need to watch a tutorial that tells me how to do that. If someone teaching you how to do that step by step, that's not going to help you. It might be good. Some people take that and then build their own thing. Or oftentimes you have people that are like, okay, well, I'll follow this to the T and then I'll try to make it on my own. That's a lot of the Udemy courses. There's like courses with loaded games like Pong. They're all super simple, Leapfrog and whatever. Um, and the problem is that these don't teach you anything. They just show you the code and they kind of say, "Oh, this is how you do things. This is how you do that." But there's no learning. Then there's like sometimes you have quizzes, right? Like those are like meaningful because they try to evaluate. Because it's impossible for a course that's just posted out there to evaluate your understanding. And that's why I created Endgame so that we could do more of less this stuff. I don't like this, right? Because this is like bad for you. You're never gonna find it because if someone, then the game's already out there. Um, so a lot of times people want to learn by just being told what to do, and that they eventually they'll learn it. But you learn the whole point of game development. One of the skills is to problem solve, debug, figure it out. Like that struggle of not knowing what's not working, what's wrong, and then thinking logical so that you can get to the bottom of the problem. That is the skill. Like going into a Discord and saying, "Hey guys, my thing is broken. How can I fix it?" Like that's the job. Like why are you asking someone else to do the job? Then you don't want to do the job. So if you're like that, then you don't want to code. You want to be a game designer. And if you're gonna be a game designer, learn the skills that you need. But now you're gonna have to partner up with a developer that's willing to have you as a game designer. So how do you, what skills can you bring that will help? Um, and so as a side note, for I'll mark this on YouTube. But if you're gonna be a game designer that doesn't want to do code, then you need to be very good. And so I'm gonna offer you what I would look for in a game design. So for example, I'm working on a wizard game right now. And I'm working on a level up system and an XP system. And one of the things that I need that it's like really hard for me that I wish I could just like tell someone is like one is I need a system or in-app purchase free to play model that can make me $1 million. And yeah, that's kind of crazy, but I know kind of the parameters that we need. So for example, we need a low tier and a high ticket for like big spenders. So how does the game look for big spenders? What is the path for them, and how does that accommodate for low spenders and free to play players? And there's a route for each one to make it so that it's worthwhile, and you have to balance that so that it's like, so what are paying players doing? Like, are they saving? Are they cutting down time? Whatnot? And so there's a lot of things to balance, like the economy. How do you account for them? And so that a player that wants to spend $1,000 on day one can do so, right? If the game doesn't have that, free to play is not necessarily that's predatory. It's just that if someone wants to spend money as a consumer, then you as the person that's offering services, you need, if they want it, you should give it to them, right? Out of like, so there's a trading, right? Like you're selling to them and they're buying, and in a free to play game, you're offering them solutions. But another point for game design, for the Wizard RPG game, for example, another thing that I need is the XP system. Not just how much XP you get, but how to design the experience so that you get the right level up and the right experience as you ramp up. Because if you look at Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, all those cell games, um, they have really great design because they give you that first experience where you ramp up from level 1 to 5 or whatever, like really easy. It's fast. You're like, do, 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 do. It creates this adrenaline rush. And you're used to like getting rewards and you're like pumping it up and you're learning the system and you're leveling up and you're getting this and that and that. And then once you notice, then you hit a roadblock where it's gated by time. And now you either go do something else and come back, or you pay to keep playing. And so those mechanics, so like how much XP, and then also damage, right? Like if you take into account like an RPG or a game like Diablo or any kind of where you have damage, you have crit rate, crit damage, HP, defense, shields, shield break. You can have a bunch of stats that and I could ChatGPT and I can Google how to do like the equation, but a game designer would help do that for someone. So like what you can do as a game designer if you're having like trouble finding a developer is to come up with ideas, look at a game and say, how can I make this game better? Or how can I make this system better? Right? And come up with a solution. And I would look for developers, like for example, in our community, we have developers and they're always asking like, oh, how can I make this better? How can I do this or that? And I'm not sure what to do with this. And so game designers could come in and say, well, what are you trying to accomplish? Okay, this is what I would do. And you line up things of how things should work. And that is a good resume builder, or at least a way to get in the door. And once you get in the door is to actually work with the developers to help them and have that as a portfolio piece. But helping developers finish and polish their game ideas is good for game designers. So now that's for game designers. For developers, now if you are willing to do the hard thing to reach your dream goal, that's what we're talking about. If you're a game designer, get working on those skills with game design. But if you're a game developer, don't ask someone else to tell you what to do. And so what you're looking for is skill. Like, what skill do I need? And you should focus on the skill. That makes sense. So like, so what I'm talking about is if you just start out, for example, what's the first skill you need? Okay, engine, platform. Those are the first two things. I have a video and I'll probably link it. Engine. So for example, if you want to use Unity, Unreal, Godot, or whatever it is you want, I have a YouTube video on that I'll link here if I can, and what it will talk about is your first, like how to go about figuring out the engine and developing for the engine. But your first skill needs to be figuring out the engine. And if you need to try each one, that's what the video goes on about, trying Unity, Godot, everything that you want to try and making a build for it. And the second thing is the skill is to build for that specific platform. If you have Android, for example, there's different skills. You need the Android manager as thing in your computer for the SDK and the JDK and all those things. So you need to be able to build to the Android device. For Apple, you need Xcode, and you need to figure out TestFlight and how to do all that, or how to sideload it in your device. And you need a Mac. And if you want to do PC, you need a PC. Figure out maybe Steam. It's up to you. If you have VR, a headset, you need the headset and be able to sideload it. You need Oculus software. But all that is part of the skills you need to learn. And so when you're going to Udemy and all these other places where you buy a course, even if you buy it or it's free, the main thing you're looking for is skill. Like, what skill am I looking for that I need right now? And don't just do skills for the sake of doing skills. You have a goal, right? The skills should line up with what you're doing here. And that's why I said these things, because someone in our community asked about, hey, I don't know anything. Is this the right community for me? Because I'm not like these other developers that are publishing. And what I wanted to tell them is like, this is perfect. Endgame devs is for every developer that wants to level up, because we are all in different parts to our goal, and I'm here to help everyone move forward. I am probably somewhere here. I'm trying to figure out how to build a profitable studio and focus on how to split rev share among the team so that the team is self-motivated to work on the game. That's my goal, is to create a studio that the developers and the worker or the employees are self-motivated, because if the game succeeds, they succeed, and it's all based on their skill. So that's my goal, and so that's why I'm in this journey. But I know how to finish games. That's not a big deal. Finishing games is probably like right here in your dreams. If your dream is like owning a company or working for it, if you're making games constantly, you'll get the job at the place you want. You just have to be in the right genre. So that's why these other steps, if I were to erase this, let me see the other skills that you want. Let me erase this here. So let's say you're looking for skills. The next set of skills, so you have engine, here engine, and then platform. The next thing probably you want to do is your genre. So what types of games do you want to make? And sometimes maybe it doesn't matter to you. But for example, if you want to work for Blizzard, they have multiple games, and they like, if you want to work on the Diablo team, they ask you questions about the Diablo games. Which ones have you played? How would you make the system better? These companies, like if Riot, like they have specific teams. And yes, if you're an artist, you could probably jump between them, maybe. I'm not sure about that, but developers, I know you're going to be working on a specific system or like very niche down. The bigger the studio, the less your like decision making. You're just doing the one thing. You're maybe developing a weapon skill. But they will always ask you about the game. They want passionate people for the game, and they want also for you to have experience in the specific thing that they're doing. So just because you worked in games, like each genre has its own hurdles. 2D games, some you might say are harder than others, but they all have difficulty, and they all have different things. And if you worked on 3D, or even if you work on VR, sometimes the other things don't apply. Like if I jump into 2D games, I have to relearn. Like I have no idea how to do all the 2D stuff, because I like the camera and the side scrolling. How do you handle that? I would have to learn it. Skills, right? So you look for skills. The genre will help you. If you niche down to the genre, if you have a specific company that you want to work for, then deciding on where you want to work there will help you. And then just make like tons of games and keep applying, asking for feedback, figure it out. But that will get you there. If you wanna, and the thing is, as you make these games, you will have skills in that specific genre. And so this is one that's missed a lot. It's like developers will make games and they'll just go everywhere. And so it's important that if you're learning how to publish it to the Google Play Store and stuff because you're trying to get there, that's okay to build whatever. But once you start, like, you want to get serious, you need to start niche down to whatever genre you want. And it's the same for the other things, like multiplayer. Is the company making multiplayer games? You need to figure that out and learn those skills. Most games nowadays, the better ones are. So if you're going to be your own indie company, maybe you're going to look into like a specific type of games that you want to build, and maybe you like the single player games. that are you're selling copies. So if you're going to sell copies, there's a lot of tutorials or courses out there that talk about like becoming an indie dev and like wish farming on Steam. But the idea, like I'm gonna tell you right now that if you indie developers that like if you have to sell copies, that's a losing battle. Like just think how do you make 10, like let's say your game is $5. How many games do you have to sell to make 10K, right? And 10K is not even minimum wage. So if you have $5 and you have to sell 2,000 per game, right? And that's not unreasonable. People can do that, right? So, yeah. So let's say you sell for $5, and you also have to think that team takes 30%, right? So they'll take 30% of whatever. So let's say you sell 5K, so that's 25K, right? Then team takes 30%, and like 5K. So you end up with 18 something, I think 18.5 or 17. So that's not minimum wage. Okay, so 75K. That's kind of like the math, right? When you're selling copies, you like the only thing you can do is fix that number, right? And that's why Steam wishlist farming is a thing, because you need to like that number's not gonna go up higher than your initial launch. And so that's like you're starting, it's not gonna like it'll go back up, but it'll never be back up to the initial unless you do something crazy. Um, so that's that for that one. And so I like usually the free to play route. I know it seems like you think you're money hungry or whatever, but if you think about, especially for starting out, if you don't know what you're doing, free to play at least gives you people's eyeballs. So even if you, let's say, only have a $5 pack in the app, uh, that's not even that hard, right? Because you can have in-game currency and you can have $1 and $10, and you can already, I mean, you can even have $100 that thing, and maybe one person buys it, but one person buying the $100 here buys 20 people here, right? Like, so you have to sell 20 people your copy of your game, or here you have 100,000 players that are downloading for free because it's free. Why not just try it out? You only have to sell one person the $100 ads, and you don't even have to do anything because they're in your game. You don't have to advertise it. It's free ad, and so as long as your game is good. So the thing is, like, it's so crazy that people would choose this route, where this route is much better in many reasons. Because even if you lose, let's say you lose, no one buys. The main thing is you have eyeballs, you have people interested, and let's say you launch the game, you leave it for a year, and it's free to play. You you know, like let's say you have I don't know, 10K people play it because it's free. Free 10 people, 10K people. Now in this one, let's say 2K, but you might, or let's say 5K. Let's just keep it 5K. You made some money. You're happy. You made the 17. I mean, it's bad. Okay, so you made the 17K. In this one, maybe you made nothing, let's say. And after a year, you got good feedback. This, now you have 10K people that know about you. Whereas in this one, I don't know how many. They have 5K, and then there's people that didn't buy it. So there's 10K, like these guys will give you more feedback. You'll be able to build a community around your studio or whatever you're trying to make. But the idea is that free to play also gives you, it helps you build your brand. And when you're starting out, you need that. And so my advice is to always go free to play to start so that you can make things happen. But the whole point of this is, again, not so much the money thing. The thing is figuring out what skills you need to learn. Let's say you're a developer and you've been stuck like, oh man, I just can't, like, I've seen developers get frustrated. They have like 4 or 5 games under their belt, but the games are like the genre. If I were to do genre and like all the type of genres, they're like over here, over here, over here. Like they have 2D, 3D, VR, whatever, and like they have no job, right? Like they just have some games that are everywhere and nothing to show for it, right? So what I'm trying to do is say, evaluate where you're at in here, right? If you make games, like, are these games taking you where you want to go? What is your goal? If you want to build a company, or a studio, then you need to get serious about making your game. Okay. You need to get down and figure out, okay, I want to make this much this year. I want to make this game. You need to start making games on a deadline. And so that's another skill, right? Somewhere here is like deadlines. You're gonna get serious. Um, then maybe bigger games, right? Bigger. Like I just made a Marvel Snap thing, and I was like, man, I could just like keep going on this, and I can make it a game in like 3 weeks or whatever, and put it in the store and monetize it and whatnot. Take another month to monetize the game, and then see how it goes. But that's not my genre, right? Like, I could do so. I've been really um tempted to just do whatever is trending because these games are not hard. Like Marvel Rivals is one of the bigger games now, free to play on Steam, and it doesn't have to be a big studio making them. Like you can make them too. It's just that they put the budget on art, and obviously they have the title of Marvel, and so then you start stacking all these things against you. But Pal World did great. They got sued by Pokemon, but the thing is, you can still do great games. The main thing you got to focus is where's your goal and what skills you need. And if you need help, just there's this YouTube channel, there's this cool community. Comment below, like where are you at? And if you don't know, let's talk about it. But what is your dream goal? What are you trying to achieve? What do you want? Then work for it. That's all I'm trying to get at. Is no matter where you're at, you can level up. And if you want help, I'm here. That's why I have this YouTube channels to help you actually move the needle forward your dream goal, not just to give random information and random stuff that maybe helps you, maybe not. I really want to help you make your dream come true. And because I'm living it right now, I love it. I'm making games and I'm going to make games till the day I die. It might be different when I'm 80 than when I'm now, but like I love this and I love making games and I love going through the hardships and figuring out the skills. But remember, last piece of advice is that these skills require hard work. Hard work. So no one can do that for you. Okay? So if you don't want to do it, then do something else. Hard work develops the skills. And so you need to buckle up and learn the skill. And it might require more time, but you need to like do it. No one can do it for you. People can make it a little bit easier, but you need to learn the skills to problem solve. That is the gig. That is the gig. That's why people get paid, because problem solving is the skill and you need to learn it. You can't just have someone look at your code and fix it for you. Okay? It's just that. It's been that since the beginning of computer science. The first class that I took for computer science was that. And I realized that I was good at it. I had a knack for it. I'm a logical thinker. If I can always figure it out. Sometimes it might take longer. Sometimes it might take not as much. But I'm willing to put the work to figure it out. And that's what's helped me figure out that I can solve anything. All I have to do is put the time. So let's talk. Comment below. What is your dream goal? And let's do it.